Some SUVs get all the hype, flashy ads, fancy badges, and bold promises. But behind the curtain, they just don't live up to it. Whether it's poor reliability, terrible value, or just riding on a brand name, these are the 10 most overhyped SUVs that aren't worth your money. Let's start with number 10. The Honda HR-V might look like a smart buy on paper, reliable, fuel-efficient, and backed by Honda's reputation. But once you dig deeper, it becomes clear that the hype doesn't match the real-world experience. Powered by a weak 1.8L engine with just 141 horsepower, the HR-V feels sluggish in city driving and downright slow on the highway. It uses a CVT that doesn't help performance, making acceleration feel like a struggle. Inside, the cabin is practical but uninspiring. The Magic Seat system is clever for cargo flexibility, but the materials are cheap, the infotainment system is dated, and there's a surprising amount of road noise for a modern crossover. While reliability is generally decent, this isn't the bulletproof tank some make it out to be. Consumer Reports shows mixed scores, especially in models with higher mileage. And with used prices for a 2019 model often hovering around $18,000, it's far from a bargain. There are better choices in the segment that offer more power, comfort, and refinement for the same money, like the Mazda CX-30 or Hyundai Kona. The HR-V isn't a terrible SUV, but it's definitely overhyped. The Mercedes-Benz GLA looks like an entry into luxury SUV life. But behind that three-pointed star is a cramped, underwhelming crossover that rides more on brand image than actual value. It's tiny inside, especially in the back seat and cargo area. Ride quality is firm and rough, more hatchback than SUV, and road noise is noticeable. Hardly what you expect from a luxury badge. The dual-clutch transmission in early models can feel jerky at low speeds, especially in stop-and-go traffic. Sure, the 2.0-liter turbo engine has some punch, but the GLA doesn't feel refined. And like many used Mercedes, ownership costs pile up fast. Repairs and maintenance are expensive, even for small issues. According to J.D. Power, long-term reliability scores are below average. Even a used 2018 GLA often sells for over $20,000, far too much for what it delivers. For the same money, you could get a larger, smoother, and more reliable SUV from Acura or Lexus. If you're buying it for the badge, it might impress. But if you're buying it for performance, space, or long-term value, this is one Mercedes worth skipping. The BMW X1 tries to sell itself as a premium driving machine in SUV form, but most buyers don't realize it's built on a front-wheel drive platform shared with Mini. That alone should raise eyebrows for traditional BMW fans. Sure, it's quick with its 2.0-liter turbo engine, but the ride is stiff and the handling lacks the sharpness you'd expect from a BMW. It doesn't feel like a true luxury SUV, it feels like a tall hatchback wearing an expensive badge. Inside, early models suffer from cheap plastics, especially in base trims. The infotainment system works but lacks the polish of other luxury rivals. Owners have also reported issues with electronics, suspension, and even engine components as the miles pile up. Used prices hover around $22,000 to $26,000 for a 2019 model, yet it doesn't offer the comfort, reliability, or true premium experience that price should command. Maintenance costs are another downside, especially after the warranty ends. The X1 might look like a gateway into the BMW brand, but once you're in, it doesn't deliver what it promises. For less hype and more substance, there are better options out there. The Nissan Rogue has been a top seller for years, often marketed as the practical, budget-friendly SUV for families. But numbers don't always tell the full story, and the Rogue is a prime example of style over substance. Its 2.5-liter engine is underpowered, and when paired with Nissan's infamous CVT, the result is a sluggish, noisy drive that wears out fast. CVT failures in this generation have been common enough that Nissan extended warranties in certain cases. The interior may look modern, but the materials feel cheap and don't hold up well. Wind and road noise are noticeable, and even basic tech features often feel dated or unresponsive. While it offers decent cargo space and fuel economy, the overall driving experience is bland at best. Reliability scores from both J.D. Power and Consumer Reports have been mixed, with many owners reporting long-term durability concerns. Used prices still sit around $15,000 to $18,000 for a 2018 or 2019 model, which might seem appealing, but potential transmission issues can quickly erase any savings. The Rogue's popularity is built on marketing, not merit. In reality, it's one of the most overrated compact SUVs of the last decade. At a glance, the Ford EcoSport looks like a compact, city-friendly SUV, but this global transplant never really belonged in the US market. It's small, inefficient, and outdated the moment it arrived. Most models come with a gutless 1.0L three-cylinder engine that feels more like a lawnmower than a powertrain. Even the 2.0-liter version doesn't offer much excitement. Handling is unrefined, and ride quality is stiff for such a small vehicle. Inside, the EcoSport feels cramped, especially in the back seat and cargo area. The interior design is dated with lots of hard plastics and a basic infotainment system. The swing-out rear door is also impractical for tight parking spaces. Despite its small size, the fuel economy is surprisingly mediocre, and Consumer Reports ranks its reliability as below average. That's not something you want in a budget SUV. Used prices for a 2019 model sit around $14,000 to $17,000, which is tempting. But even at that price, there are better alternatives like the Hyundai Kona or Honda HR-V. The EcoSport may wear the SUV badge, but it's little more than a glorified hatchback, and one that's not particularly good at anything. Chevrolet brought back the Blazer name with bold styling and aggressive marketing, but this midsize SUV is a classic case of style over substance. It looks sporty, especially in RS trim, but that's where the appeal ends. Despite the aggressive appearance, it lacks any real off-road ability or performance edge. The base 2.5-liter engine is underwhelming, while the optional 3.6-liter V6 delivers power, but at the cost of fuel efficiency. Interior quality is hit or miss. While the design is flashy, the materials feel cheap in several areas, and the rear seat space isn't as generous as the exterior size suggests. Tech is decent, but nothing groundbreaking. Worse, the Blazer is priced to compete with premium rivals, yet doesn't offer the quality or versatility to match. Reliability has also been a concern, with reports of infotainment glitches and transmission hiccups even in newer models. A used 2020 Blazer often lists for over $25,000, which puts it against better rounded SUVs like the Honda Passport or Hyundai Santa Fe. In short, the Blazer talks a big game, but the driving experience and overall value fall flat. The Mitsubishi Outlander might seem like a budget-friendly three-row SUV, but it's often praised far more than it deserves. Yes, it's affordable, but once you're behind the wheel, that value starts to disappear quickly. Power from the base 2.4-liter engine is weak, and even the available V6 doesn't bring the excitement. Handling is dull, ride quality is rough, and the CVT makes the driving experience feel cheap and noisy. Inside, the cabin feels stuck in the past. Materials are low-grade, tech features lag behind the competition, and the third row is cramped and barely usable, even for kids. It's there more for marketing than practicality. Reliability is average at best, with Consumer Reports noting frequent issues in suspension components and interior electronics. Combine that with poor resale value, and the long-term ownership equation doesn't look great. A used 2019 Outlander sells for $15,000, $18,000, which seems like a deal, until you compare it with what you can get from Hyundai or Kia in the same range. It's not the worst SUV out there, but it's definitely one of the most overhyped. Cheap up front, costly in the long run. Toyota's CHR may ride on the brand's reputation for reliability, but when it comes to being a well-rounded SUV, it misses the mark in several key areas. First, it's not even available with all-wheel drive, a major drawback in a segment full of versatile crossovers. Under the hood, the 2.0-liter engine makes just 144 horsepower, resulting in a painfully slow and noisy drive, especially on highways. While the exterior design is edgy and eye-catching, the interior sacrifices practicality for style. Rear seat space is tight, cargo capacity is limited, and those massive rear roof pillars make visibility a real challenge. Yes, it's a Toyota, so reliability is strong, but the rest of the package doesn't live up to the hype. Tech features are minimal, and the ride quality isn't refined enough to justify the price tag. Used 2019 models still cost around $18,000, $21,000, too high considering what you get. The Honda HR-V or Mazda CX-30 offer better driving dynamics, more practicality, and greater all-around value. The CHR may look different, but that's really all it offers. It's a case of bold design trying to mask mediocrity. The Land Rover Discovery Sport carries the weight of a premium badge, promising luxury, off-road prowess, and refined performance. But in reality, it's one of the most overhyped luxury SUVs you can buy. Let's start with reliability, or the lack thereof. According to Consumer Reports and J.D. Power, this model consistently ranks among the least dependable in its class. Common complaints include engine troubles, electrical system glitches, and transmission failures, some showing up well before 60,000 miles. Performance isn't exactly stellar either. Even with a turbocharged 2.0-liter engine, acceleration feels sluggish, and the transmission can be jerky. Off-road capability exists in theory, but most owners never take it off pavement, and it doesn't shine there either. Inside, it does look upscale at first glance, but many interior components feel flimsy for the price. Tech is hit or miss, with frequent infotainment bugs and a dated user interface. Used 2018 models still sell for $20,000 on $26,000, but maintenance and repair costs can easily erase any savings. Extended warranties aren't optional, they're essential. The Discovery Sport markets itself as the affordable Land Rover, but that affordability quickly disappears when ownership headaches start piling up. The Jeep Grand Cherokee is often praised as the perfect blend of rugged SUV and comfortable daily driver. But behind its tough image lies a history of serious issues, especially in models from 2014 to 2021. Let's talk reliability. This generation is notorious for electrical system failures, transmission problems, and infotainment bugs. Models with air suspension or the V8 engine. Even worse, Consumer Reports and countless owner forums highlight these issues over and over. Yes, the Grand Cherokee offers off-road trims like the Trailhawk and powerful versions like the SRT, but most buyers don't need that. And even base trims are pricey on the used market, averaging $18,000 to $30,000 depending on mileage and options. The interior feels upscale in higher trims, but don't let that fool you. Long-term ownership often includes unexpected repair bills, and depreciation hits hard once out of warranty. The problem is simple. It's marketed like a premium SUV, but built with inconsistent quality. For the same price, buyers could get a Honda Passport, Toyota 4Runner, or Mazda CX-9, all more reliable and in many ways more capable. The Grand Cherokee may look like a champ, but if you're buying used, it's a risky bet that rarely pays off. That's it for the 10 most overhyped SUVs that aren't worth your money. If you're car shopping, avoid these models and do your research. Like the video? Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. Thanks for watching.